Bred to Win, brought to you by Arrowfield, the home of four-time champion sire Schnitzel.
At 10 million, take 500 more, at 10 million.
Hello, I'm Caroline Searcy. Welcome to the final of this series of Bred to Win before we come back with some great new stallion stories in July. Coming up on this week's show, which comes to you from the Inglis HTBA Sale, we review an incredible night of selling, one of the most exciting thoroughbred sales in the world, as elite mares are traded for huge amounts, with many guaranteed to produce the next generation of racetrack champions. On the flip side of the industry, when you're not in a position to make thoroughbred breeding a commercial business, it's sometimes hard to get a horse sold at all. I'll take those of you new to the industry through my personal experience of breeding a foal and having it passed in. And another tale of one generation assisting the next with Sheamus Mills in Arrowfield Studs industry influences. That's all coming up, but first, the latest Ozhorse news.
He goes for 3.4 million.
It was a huge week of bloodstock sales in Sydney, and we'll recap the Inglis HTBA Sale shortly with Jonathan Darcy. The Inglis Weanling Sale was topped by lot 195, a filly by I Am Invincible from Shoko, bought from Alma Vale, Kitchwan Hills by New Zealand's Kaha Nui Farm for $575,000. The filly's dam is a Tessio Stakes winner and half-sister to Magic Millions 2-year-old winner Mimi LeBrock. The Inglis Broodmare Sale followed the chairman's evening, and there were equal top sellers in Sula Terre, a Pierrot mare from Soul Singer, in foal to leading Queensland stallion Spirit of Boom. Her dam is a full sister to star sprinting mare Sunlight. She was sold by Tyrrell Stud to Western Australia's Darling View Thoroughbreds for $240,000, and that was the price also achieved for Starla, a daughter of Schnitzel and close relation to $3 million mare Princess Cope, sold by Coolmore Stud to Twin Hills Stud in foal to Wootton Bassett.
Benedetta strikes the lead.
To weekend racing and wrapping up a successful Adelaide Carnival, the $1 million Goodwood was won by the hellbent mare Benedetta. She's from the Leica Show family and was bred by Brenton and Liz Parker and sold through the Mill Park Draft at the Inglis Premier Yearling Sale for $75,000 to Lawrence Eels. It was the second Group 1 winner for Hellbent after Magic Time, and the son of I Am Invincible stands alongside his sire at Yarraman Park Stud this season at a fee of $38,500. En Francais was successful in the inaugural running of the Cummings Stakes, formerly the R.A. Lee Stakes, bred by her trainer Jake Stevens, and whose dam is a half-sister to his former stable star Alcopop. En Francais is by Swettenham Stud, son of Shamadal Puissance de Lune, whose fee for the upcoming season has been set at $8,800. And the 2-year-old David Cole's AM Stakes went the way of Flyer from Miss Toorak Flyer, bred and raced by Rosemont Stud and half-sister to Treasureway. She's by first season sire Exceedent, standing at Vinery Stud, his second stakes winner. The son of Exceedent Excel will stand this season at a fee of $33,000. The Inglis Digital win of the week was that of Bugnish in the Group 3 Proud Miss Stakes, originally a $25,000 2020 late November Inglis Digital sale from Element Hill to Edinburgh Park. Bugnish was on-sold as an Adelaide Magic Millions yearling, and his third dam, Easy Date, is on both sides of the pedigree, also there through Schnitzel and his dam sire Snippets.
New Mary and Dash Clear from Just Folk.
As the Queensland Winter Carnival approaches, a few races of note on the Sunshine Coast included Numerian's win in the Group 2 Hollandale Cup, the son of Holy Roman Emperor taking over from Annabelle Neesham's former 3-time winner of the race, Zaki. Fastnet Rock's son Corniche took out the Gold Coast Guineas from the new approach mare Montsegur from the family of Pulele, and Chatoyant, his full brother Pereil, won the first race on the card. And Althoff became the 4th group winner, sired by Written Tycoon during his one season at Arrowfield Stud, successful in the Ken Russell Memorial. And at the Gosford standalone meeting shifted to Newcastle, the $500,000 The Coast was won by the son of Magnus Spin. He's a shocker, won the Gosford Gold Cup by the Melbourne Cup winner Shocking, and Similion by Shalar from Systonic, a close relation to Black Caviar, was successful in the Takeover Target Stakes. And at Caulfield, Too Darn Hot extended his lead over Tassord in the first season Sires table with the win of Kiora's impressive 2-year-old Tropicus. That was Too Darn Hot's 9th first crop winner, the son of Dabawi, standing this season at Darley Kelvinside at a fee of $110,000. And wrapping up our news, Australia's leading tax accountant and advisor to the thoroughbred racing and breeding industry, Paul Carazzo, has announced his company, Carazzo Consulting, will merge with top 100 chartered accounting firm Baumgartners from July. Paul will hold his first Sport of Kings tax and financial talk since COVID at Inglis Riverside in Sydney on Friday, June 21, covering a range of topics you must hear about if you're investing in the thoroughbred industry in Australia. Hugely respected English auctioneer Jonathan Darcy has many great industry tales to tell, and he sold plenty of $1 million yearlings. But as we recap the 2024 English Chairman's Sale, there's something about this auction that he finds truly unique.
Say hello, ladies and gentlemen. 50, I set up an area at 600, at 600,000.
Come on in, bowl the kick, man. That's 200 there. 200 down, double down, and it's 200.
What do you say? At 1,700,000, to be fair, the mare has had a time. I'm going to sell her left.
Much calmer than I am. 2.9. 3 million.
Jonathan, congratulations on a fabulous English Chairman's Sale, and it really is a unique sale. What is it that you see that's so special about selling here at Riverside under the stars, well, some of the stars, and with the stars in the ring?
Look, it is. I think what you say is right. It's very unique. Look, I've been lucky enough to go over to America and see the Fasig-Tipton sale, which is quite similar to this. It's a very specialised catalogue, and this is something that we've been putting together now for 7 or 8 years. And I think, you know, tonight was just, you know, a verification of how this market works. Some very, very nice mares that we were supported with, some outstanding race fillies, and I think they were the star of the show tonight. But I think to gather, you know, 500 or 600 of the leading breeders in the country, we had representatives from Ireland and France and America and New Zealand here buying, and also plenty of people on the phone. I'm sure we'll discuss.
He goes for 3.4 million.
Almost done.
Well, she's extreme, the top seller, $3.4 million to Coolmore. We know what a wonderful Group 1 winning 2-year-old, an Oaks winner at 3. But the scenes were fantastic. It means so much to the people that have sold her, that have raced her, to see a horse sell for that much.
Well, that's right. I mean, she gave them enormous thrills on the racetrack, and we've known for some time that she was coming here. Newgate did an unbelievable job in getting her ready for the sale, doing a really good promotional video for her. She was for sale the moment she stepped in the ring, so that always adds that little bit of excitement too, to see who bids on her. And as you would have seen during the coverage, there were 6-7 individual players, and then, you know, to see the heavy hitters come out, and I think she made her money. I think, you know, it was just a lovely way to see a top class mare now go on to the next stage of her life.
Sold to the Levita for 3.2 million. Resolute Racing buys. Thank you, Mr. John Stewart.
Then we saw the bidding duel, the very last lot of the evening. Tutor Levita, the beautiful daughter of the autumn sun, and we saw Coolmore as the underbidder. She sold for 3.2 million to John Stewart of Resolute Racing, and some great scenes there. Of course, he's really wanting to get into the Australian market and has a ready-made Queensland Oaks winner, all going well.
Just brilliant, Caroline. I think what was unique about this particular filly was, you know, she's only been entered for the last 3 weeks. So Kevin Payne, who's a very, very strong supporter of Inglis, he buys a lot of his good horses here. Of course, he's got Estriella, you know, aiming for the Everest later in the year. But he just wanted to free up some money. Obviously, he's bought some nice yearlings for the last couple of years, and here in this mare, he's had a great time with her. She didn't win the Group 1 for him, but I think she can go and win a Group 1. Interesting to note, so those people following on social media, this filly was coming and going from the sale. So she was at Chris Waller's stable. She'd work on Tuesday morning, then she'd come here for 6 or 7 hours to be paraded, goes back to Chris Waller's overnight. So, I mean, she's in full work and she races in about 10 days' time.
Yeah, it's exceptional, and great to hear from John Stewart as well after the sale. It's fantastic to get in with a horse that is a ready-made racehorse and will obviously be a broodmare in the future, but to get in with a horse that can race in your colours so soon.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. It's something that we were looking at. We think it's, you know, a good partnership. We met Chris when we were in Australia, and knowing that he's training the horse, you know, and how he feels about the horse was, you know, one of the reasons that we decided to buy her.
Ladies and gentlemen, here she is. Here is Kamochi.
Kamochi was a great story too. $2.2 million for Yearling. We saw Will Ball, the underbidder for Kieran Maher, unfortunately beaten, but great to see Yearling bidding. And of course, they also bought Penny Wicker, the Dual Oaks winner by Satono Aladdin, for $1.7 million, going to Lord Kanaloa's son, Panther Lasser. So this is fascinating too, to see Yearling buying for these new stallions.
Absolutely. Look, I think there's every chance that they might race on for a little while. Obviously, a mare like Kamochi, you know, she's a Group 1 winner, Group 1 winner in waiting, you know, being Group 1 place 3 or 4 times. And once again, you know, she was a filly that we sold as a weanling for $32,000. Leo Toy raced her with great success. He's a great supporter, but you know, Leo's, you know, aware that, you know, a mare of that value needs to be supported, you know, with the leading stallions and everything else. So he took the opportunity to market her, and he was thrilled with the price he achieved here. And with Penny Wacker, you know, Jim Wallace and Mary and his brother and a whole heap of friends raced her. Jim trained her. Jim's been a lifelong friend of mine. I've known him for 35 years, and to have Jim here with his family, that was really special. And that's a little bit what the Chairman's is like. We had, you know, not with some of the huge mares, but with some of the syndicated mares, we had, you know, great ownership here tonight, and they were celebrating. And yeah, I think it's just a nice way to finish that that career for some of the race fillies to be sold as brood mares here, and they get to celebrate with them.
And then we saw, of course, a great scene. Star Tontes, the Tats Tiara winner, $1.15 million, bought by Widden Stud. But great to see Rob Heathcote and the whole team out here. He had so many great owners really enjoying that sale. And dear old Neville Begg, 93 years old, he bought Yao Chin for $3,000. The mother of course, written by, but also Say Magique. She sold for $1.7 million to Coolmore with Yearling as the underbidder. So wonderful human stories about these horses too.
Absolutely. And look, that's what we really celebrate on Chairman's Night, because, you know, Star Tontes and Extremis, the other mare that Rob Heathcote sent down for us to sell, they would have had 25 people in one of our gallery suites, and there's been some footage on social media. You can see them every time, you know, Extremis was getting a bid from 300 to 350. As the bids went up, they were cheering and clinking glasses, and I've spoken to a few of them after the sale, and they actually said they were so pleased to be involved with the sale tonight. So, and that's what it's about. Mr. Begg, he sold a couple of mares here previously. Look, the reserve was nothing like that. He's very you know, keen to see her go on and have success for another entity. But you know, he's one of you know, racing's gentlemen. So to get that result for him and for the Begg family, that was great.
Yeah, overall though, wrapping up, I mean, just a very successful evening. I guess, you know, there are always some horses that might not sell. There are pass-ins and so forth. But you know, the excitement about this sale, that's what makes it so great.
It is. Like, I think everyone who attends a Chairman's sales walks away with a smile on their face, because it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to be involved with. The build-up's great. And look, the mares that passed in, you know, a lot of them were probably, you know, some of the mares that had a few foals and were in foal to expensive service fees. And we understand that breeders are looking at the opportunity to take that, you know, mare whole and get the foal out and maybe sell it as weaning or yearling in the future. So look, they reserve that right. We're very happy to work with them. Hopefully we get to sell the progeny in future. But you know, I think some huge results tonight, and I think it's a sale that, you know, everyone aspires to be at.
A great sale, the Inglis Chairman's Sale, and so many household names in the mares who went through the ring this evening. Coming up after the break on Bred to Win, the Cambridge Stud Performance of the Week, and my personal tale about what happens when a yearling doesn't sell through an auction ring.
Positivity took the lead a half, 3/4.
The Cambridge Stud performance of the week was yet another outstanding success from a group winner by their own sire Al Manzoor, as star Kiwi filly Positivity won the Group 3 SA Fillies Classic, or SA Oaks, as predicted by Woburn Farms' Adrian Stanley in our NZB yearling sale preview in 2022. It's a really great fillies family too.
Yeah, it is. Like, this filly's got a lot of residual value that's going to put her instead for a long way in her life. She's a lovely big rangy filly. She is an Oaks filly.
From the great Octopussy Val Policella family, Positivity was sold by Woburn Farm to Ben Kwok for $160,000. Al Manzoor sits in 5th position on the NZ General Sires list behind the long-time leaders Savabeel and Poisier. He lies second in the 3-year-old sires category behind Savabeel and stands this season at Cambridge Stud for $30,000 NZ plus GST. Bred to Winners followed the progress of a filly I bred by the speedy son of So You Think Peltzer from a winning Pendragon mare Mega Mall, from the dilemma of which sale she'd be accepted for, going through the ring here at Inglis Riverside in the HTBA Sale and passing in. It's been an intriguing experience, and I wanted to share it with people who might not know what goes on when a horse is passed in at a sale. And hopefully those who race this filly eventually will taste plenty of success.
Pelter going through his gears, and he does it again. 5 out of 5 at Randwick.
Mega Mall chiming in strongly. The favourite goes to the lead and draws away to win. You can head for the queue if you're on Mega Mall. She's home and hosed. Mega Mall, class starting to tell here. She's pulling away from Sensacova. Look at her go late. Mega Mall puts a hole in them the last 50.
Lock 40, Peltzer filly out of a 4-time winning mare. You start your way.
Ollie, it's quite interesting going through the process, which I haven't done before. I've taken a weanling through to a yearling, but I haven't actually been involved in breeding a foal to take to a yearling sale. It's an incredible process. There's so much that has to fall into place to get a horse into a sale, isn't there?
Well, that's right, and it's a process that starts 3 years ago when you decide to send the mare to the stallion. So whenever people see horses going through the ring and making a lot of money, it needs to be put in that context that it takes a long time, and as you've just said, a lot of things have to fall into place. That goes from sending the mare to the right stallion, the mare going in foal, the foal being healthy, the foal being raised incident-free, the foal looking like a horse that the sales companies want to then put in a sale, and then obviously being presented to the buyers and hopefully being popular. So it's a long and complicated process, but obviously can be very rewarding if it goes right.
Yeah, well, that's the whole idea of this, is you know, people see horses being sold for a lot of money and they think, well, you just breed a horse, you pay a service fee, you get in a sale, you make a lot of money. But I just loved seeing this little Peltzer filly when she was a foal from Mega Mall. Just a beautiful, very much like him, sort of, you know, sprinty looking and a shorter neck, and looked quite a forward little filly. But then she grew. So she changed into what looks to be now a staying type filly. And I guess that makes it difficult for some of the earlier sales, so Magic Millions or an Inglis Classic or something, to accept a yearling like that obviously is probably going to look better as she's an older yearling.
Absolutely, and look, that can often be the case, is that horses will develop later on. They can be later foals, for instance, which, you know, their birth date is the starting point, but they can develop later on, or they can change, you know, and a lot of the time you're seeing a horse develop into what it's meant to be, such as this filly out of Mega Mall. Her mother's got a pedigree with full of stamina, and her sire, whilst he was a fast horse, is by So You Think. So there's a fair bit of stamina there, and she's a filly that has really, I think, grown into herself nicely over time. She's really developed it. She's got a big frame. She's filled that frame, which is really pleasing, and she looks like she's a filly who's going to get over some distance. So you're right in saying that the sales companies have got a job to do. They've got to fill the sales up at the early in the year, and they will obviously try and pick the horses that those sales best, but as we all know, they may not be the best racehorses ultimately.
You have obviously Inglis Magic Millions. Everyone comes around and looks at these. Well, when they're weanlings, they start to look at these foals into yearlings. Tell us about that process, because they're unfurnished. It's very hard to really know how a horse is going to develop because they change so much.
Both sales companies will do the rounds in July or August, so the horse, you're still 6 months off the sales at that stage. So it is very early, but obviously they've got timelines that they've got to keep with getting pulling the catalogue together. They have the advantage of seeing every horse. We only see the horses under our care. So we can think they're swans, they might think that they're geese, but hopefully they'll turn into swans over time. But they have the advantage of looking at every horse, so they can line up the horses across the whole crop across Australia, and they can work out where that horse fits, and therefore does it fit in a sale, and if so, does it fit in a sale, and if so, which sale. So I don't underestimate the challenges of that task of building those catalogues that Magic Millions and Inglis's have to do. We obviously try to have the horses develop to the extent that that will appeal to those, for the people who are breeding commercially. We're trying to appeal to them. We're trying to lobby, in a sense, to get some horse to a sale that we might think it should be in. But ultimately, they've got a decision to make, and they've got to make that early on. And I'm sure there are certainly times where we would disagree with their decision, but ultimately they've got a job to do and we let them do it.
All right, well, we'll catch up with you after the Peltzer filly goes through the ring at the HTBA sale, and we'll see what goes on.
Fingers crossed she sells well.
We'll put her on by.
Well, Ollie, unfortunately this lovely filly has passed in, but that is the story of selling thoroughbred horses, isn't it? It happens time and time again.
Yes, it certainly can happen. Naturally, it's not what we aim for, and we like to get them sold in the ring, and that's that is, as I said, what you're aiming for. But it does happen. Not every horse finds a buyer in the ring. But now what we'll do is we'll talk to people that we showed some interest before the auction and see if they're interested, and they might be looking at another horse later on, and then they might miss out on that, and then they might come back to this one. And then after that, Inglis's or Magic Millions, if it was a Magic Millions sale, their teams go around. They've got obviously networks everywhere. Say we think this horse might suit a certain person, they'll give them a call and try and see if that person would be interested. So yes, the auction process doesn't always work out exactly as you would like, but it's not the end of the process.
No, exactly. And it is interesting, isn't it, as far as the trends involved with a first season stallion. The filly herself, she's thrown more to being like a more staying type of filly, and that doesn't suit everybody. I mean, some of the people looking like Gerald Ryan, they want a more forward sort of horse. So it's all about trends and fitting in with the right trends of who's actually at the sale ground too.
That's right. And it can, a trainer might have an order from an owner and they're looking for a stayer, and then the horse is sold. But if that person's not here, it's not. So it's in many ways, unfortunately, it's an inexact science, as we know. But from the inexact science comes some benefits at times, and then obviously some disappointments at times. But as I said, it's not the end of the process.
Yeah, and I guess it does play into the whole story about being a smaller breeder. I mean, this idea that breeders are all making millions and you just put your mare to a stallion and you get this horse worth $400,000, it just doesn't happen just like that the majority of the time.
Far from it. And look, if it was an easy game, everyone would be doing it, and they're not. So there are lots of challenges along the way, and there's lots of disappointments, but there's lots of highlights as well. And you just got to stick at it and hold your nerve and keep going. And with a horse like this, she will hopefully find a buyer for her later on today even. But if not, there'll be other opportunities for an exit point for the owners to try and either sell her or bring some other people in, or get her to the racetrack with people who really are invested in her and want to race a horse like her.
Yeah, so it is really a sale that, these are the sales that are the backbone of the industry, aren't they? These are the sales where the people that are doing it, often for the passion, are really involved.
Absolutely. And look, I think most people in the industry are passionate about it at every level. Yes. And this is one level of the industry, and there'll be good sales today, and there'll be disappointing sales today. That's the game, as there are at the Easter sale and the Magic Millions. That's just at every level. There are highs and lows.
And in an update since the sale, I'm keeping a share in this filly to race myself with other partners, and hopefully we have her filled in the next couple of weeks with a new trainer. Coming up after the break on Bred to Win, Arrowfield Studs Industry Influencers.
I think I'd have to say Mick Price, which would be interesting what he'd think of that. But I spent years with Mick before I went out on my own. It was probably where I learned how to run a business, as well as the bloodstock side of things and the horse side of things. It was a great learning curve from the point of view of just rounding out my education. I'd done a lot of things up until then, mainly on the farms, some journalism, managed jockeys. I'd sort of seen a lot of sides of the industry, but the one side that I hadn't experienced was training horses, which I guess at the end of the day, everything that pretty much everyone does in this industry ends up, the culmination is on the racetrack. So it was a great way to round out my education.
I mean, some trainers, you know, may not be the best at looking at yearlings and being judges of yearlings and what they will become as a racehorse, but Mick is one of the best, isn't he?
Yeah, look, Mick has stood the test of time, I guess is what I would say. You know, before I was with him, while I was with him, and since I've been with him, they just always seem to bob up with good horses, and the actual selection of horses and so on to refine your eye. When you do come from the breeding side of things, you see a lot of these young horses grow up, and you potentially see how they develop. It's a long time from a yearling to a racetrack. I mean, most horses from yearling sale to a racetrack might be 18 months or more for some of them. So there's a lot more development goes on, and how you develop those horses through to actually be athletes is a big part of it. So to spend some time with someone where you are selecting yearlings and then developing them through to race horses, that was a big part of completing education of someone who wants to work on their own.
And you, of course, have such success now as a bloodstock agent in your own right, and obviously that understanding what it takes to be an athlete as a racehorse that you've learnt from Mick has really stood you in good stead when you're looking at yearlings.
We sort of pride ourselves a bit on what happens with these horses once they leave the yearling sales. We're pretty hands-on as far as their management goes, where they go, who has them, how long for, you know, where they spell, where they pre-train, just trying to get a horse who really wants to be a racehorse. And I think we do a lot of dressage with ours. We spend a lot of time just trying to get good mouths on them, so that when they go to the stables, all the riders are pretty complimentary and want to ride them, that they're nice rides, that they then get a bit of a good reputation in the stables. You know, the staff often sort of clamour over who's going to get on them, and they become a bit of a stable favourite. We just find that early educational between the yearling sale and the first time they walk into a stables, it just really sets them up for their future if you can do all those little things right, which is something that I guess I got a really good insight for.
That's it for this series of Bred to Win. We'll be back next week with the first episode of Thoroughbred rehoming program, Thoroughbreds Are Go, and back with Bred to Win in July once we've filmed a lot of new stallions. I'm Caroline Searcy. I look forward to seeing you then.
Bred to Win, brought to you by Arrowfield, the home of 4-time champion sire Snitzel.